Welcome. Today is our last lesson on correcting run-ons. In the last few modules, we've gone over that a run-on is taking two complete sentences and incorrectly joining them. We went over 3 ways to fix them. The boy ate too much ice cream. He got sick. This is a complete sentence. This is a complete sentence. They stand on their own. You can't just put a comma there. The 3 ways we went over how to fix it. Simple one, just use a period. Make this a capital. The second one we did was using a semicolon, and this remains lowercase. And the third way was you can keep the comma, but you have to add one of the 7 coordinating conjunctions. You could say, and he got sick, or so he got sick. Remember, there were 7 of them, which we called fanboys. The boy ate too much ice cream. He got sick. They're both equally weighted. What we're going to do in this 4th way is we're going to unweight it. We're going to make one part stronger, more important than the other. We're going to call that the independent part. And we're going to make another part a little more unbalanced, dependent on that main part. Because the boy ate too much ice cream, it's not finished, right? You're waiting. What comes next? It doesn't stand by itself. Because the boy ate too much ice cream, it's not finished. We need to find out the main part. Because the boy ate too much ice cream, he got sick. So this stands by itself. We can say he got sick. That stands by itself. So this is what we're calling the independent clause. This part is dependent. It relies on that. It can't stand by itself. We can do that with another sentence. I want to go home. I have to stay at school. They're each complete sentences incorrectly joined by just the comma. So let's fix it. We could say, although I want to go home, again, we're waiting. That's not a complete sentence. Although I want to go home, I have to stay at school. We do need the comma there. Although I want to go home, I have to stay at school. This is the independent clause, stands by itself. This is the dependent clause. Whenever the subway was late, Joan missed her connection. Again, whenever the subway was late, it doesn't stand by itself. It's dependent. Joan missed her connection. That is the independent part. Here are some examples of subordinators you can use to make one part of the sentence dependent on the other. We will have lots of exercises to be using these subordinators, and of course you'll be trying out different ones in your own writing. Now I'd like to go over the punctuation rules for using subordinators in sentences. Let's go back to this one. Because the boy ate too much ice cream, he got sick. Now we said this was the subordinate part. We have to separate that from the main part of the sentence. We have to let the reader know we're there. We're at the main part of the sentence. Because the boy ate too much ice cream, he got sick. We do naturally pause with our voices there. Let's look at the others. Although I want to go home, I have to stay at school. Whenever the subway was late, Joan missed her connection. Now, second most common error that FIT college students make, they forget to put this comma there. And actually, the truth is, if it's a very short sentence, it doesn't always make a big deal difference. But if this is kind of long, if this is long, the reader, it gets confused because you don't know where to stop. You keep going and it doesn't make any sense, and really sometimes funny errors come out. So you really do want to remember to put that comma after the introductory clause. Okay, now let's look at the second part of the punctuation rule. Okay, we said, because the boy ate too much ice cream, he got sick. But we can take the independent clause and have it at the front of the sentence. So we could say, I've got it written out here, he got sick because he ate too much ice cream. Notice how there's not that pause there? He got sick because he ate too much ice cream. If the dependent clause comes at the end of the sentence, then there's no punctuation here. Okay? So we're only using the comma when it's at the beginning, and you're going to feel it in your gut. If you listen to yourself. Because the boy ate too much ice cream, comma, he got sick. He got sick because he ate too much ice cream. To review, today we went over the fourth way to fix your run-ons, which is to take one of those two complete sentences, independent clauses, and make them dependent by using subordinators. Now, you do this. You do this regularly in your writing. I want you to, number one, be aware of it. One, so that you can use it to fix run-ons, but also you can use it to make your writing more interesting. If you have a bunch of short, choppy sentences, it's not going to sound so good. You could combine two of them and make one dependent and one independent. So you'll have a different flow in your writing. And then the converse is also true. If you're starting all your sentences because blah, 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 da, 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 whenever that also gets uninteresting. So you might notice that you have a lot of sentences that start with dependent clauses. You might at some point want to break one of them up. And then you have a little bit more punch in your writing. And then, of course, I want you to be sure you can punctuate them correctly. Okay, let's review the punctuation rule. If the subordinate or dependent clause comes at the beginning of the sentence, a comma must be used to separate it from the main part of the sentence, the independent clause. Now, go to the set of exercises that review this rule.